Hey there, Brady here with your daily tennis lesson. So we're looking at coaching styles this week. I got my buddy Ian from Essential Tennis back. Today we're going to look at serves. All right, couple elements to the serves that I think there are, for sure variations that coaches give to their players.
Yeah.
The first would be stance. And in my book, there's really two stances that I see on tour, which would be, pinpoint or just kind of traditional.
Yep.
What's your thought on those two?
Yeah, I'm pretty much open to whatever. I like to see what players are most comfortable with. The serve is such like a rhythm and timing and like flow and like comfort-based kind of motion.
Yeah.
That if it's not broken, if the stance just doesn't totally not make sense,
yeah,
then I'm leaving it alone. I don't have a personal preference for pinpoint or platform or hybrid, stepping forwards, like whatever. As long as it works with the rest of the motion, then I personally leave it alone.
Yeah, I being tall, I'm in a platform stance, and I watch Isner, and he goes into his pinpoint, and it's just so awesome looking, and I've tried it, and it just doesn't feel right for me.
Yeah.
So I'm with you that, between those two styles, whatever really helps you go up, get that high contact point, and feel good about it, stick with it. We've got Joel here. We're going to take a look at Joel's serve and specifically his stance, all right?
That's the thing. There's world-class all-time servers that use a platform stance. There's world-class all-time servers that use pinpoint.
Yeah.
So for me personally, it's like whatever is more comfortable.
So nice little just platform stance here. Gets good knee bend, gets good push up. So Joel, do me a favor, just kind of give a pinpoint stance a try, and let's just see how it looks and let us know how it feels to you.
It feels awkward.
Yeah,
to me,
yeah.
but
Go one more. That's little apparent there. Yeah, sometimes tough to even.
Yeah, I mean it's completely unnecessary. Like
right.
For me, the whole machine falls apart.
Right. The whole rhythm and timing of the whole thing for Joel falls apart, and so yeah, it's kind of a non-issue for me. Related to Joel.
Big time. All right, so pretty easy to put that one to bed. You've got to stand comfortably to be able to go up to get to that ball. All right, so let's look at backswing. And there we've got the Andy Roddick style where it's a little more abbreviated. Myself, I leave my arm down pretty darn long, and I definitely come all the way up the backside, which would be just a lengthier backswing, I guess we'd call it. Do you stand on either one, where you like one better than the other?
I guess the only thing I don't really like is the old school phrase was down together, up together kind of thing. Yeah. And I'm not really a fan of that because I don't think it tends to lead to a very good coiled, like tilted position in the trophy pose. So that's about the only thing I'm not a fan of. I prefer at least a little bit of lag like what you were describing.
Absolutely. For me, I always coach, hey, let's stretch it out, let's slow it down simply to give yourself time. We want a player to trust a high toss, which we'll get to the toss in a second, but we want a player to trust a high toss, and a lot of times the abbreviated motions that I see are simply trying to catch up to a low toss. They're not by design. So if you've got a player out there that can elevate a toss, go abbreviated and time it well, great, but otherwise I'm pretty stuck on just that longer motion. Joel, let's pop back in here. Take a look at your backswing. I think from what I saw earlier, he lets that arm hang kind of nice. Yeah. If anything, I might try to get you to relax your grip tension a little bit just at that initial downswing. Yeah. I've always used the analogy like a pitcher in baseball. That backswing is their windup, right?
Yeah.
And you've never seen a pitcher throw 100 miles per hour trying to wind
Going
up
fast
quick,
back, yeah.
right? It's always just that slow, loose take back. So that to me would be something you would benefit from, Joel, is just everything as loose as possible and lengthen it out.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe even for Joel, feeling like maybe it's lagging or falling behind with the rest of the motion even a little bit more to create a little bit more whip in the motion.
Yep.
But I love how you started with like the relaxation. And I could see that maybe even naturally turning into a little bit more of a lag.
Yeah. So we talked about toss for a second there, but to simply break down toss, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist. From where you stand, you're obviously a lefty, I'm a righty, so I love the relationship to a grandfather clock up above me. I promote a 12:30 toss, you know, about 18 inches higher than any player can reach, so there's time to let it come down for both flat and slice. And on the opposite end of that spectrum, about 11:30, a little bit lower for that kick serve. But all of these, if we were to let them bounce, landing out in front of you. I know I saw one of your first videos ever, which was the ball basket out there.
Yeah, wow.
I couldn't believe the amount of views you got on just tossing a ball up and landing it in a basket. But I think it lends to that toss being pretty specific, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad that you actually quantified the height. I think there's a big chunk of the internet when they hear the phrase high toss, they think about like a Sharapova or like a Zverev, or like they're just waiting for it feels like 3 or 4 seconds for the ball to come back down. So just for context, you know, 18 inches is what, probably about here or so in terms of like length. And I think that's a good like sweet spot. There's a lot of old school people out there who like Vic Braden, obviously like legend, you know, back in the day, was a huge proponent of basically tossing as low as possible. And as much as I hate to, you know, disagree with like a legend, yeah, right. I feel like because rhythm and timing and flow is so important, that's such a quick, you know, motion for most people that it's hard to get in all the positions that are important. So I think 18 inches is a good roundabout ballpark. I like that a lot. Much higher than that, and there's going to have to be a big pause somewhere. Yeah. And much lower than that. I think most average athletes, myself included, are going to feel really rushed to get through the whole thing. Yeah. And you mentioned those positions. Trophy pose, to me, I know some coaches out there don't love it. I think it's a really easy, good visual for a lot of players, simply because, you know, we know people can think about reaching high, but to engage the legs and really create the ability to hit up, I really like a trophy pose idea where you pop that front hip out, create some downward angle in the shoulders, and have everything firing up. Are you okay with trophy pose? I lean more towards having trophy pose than not trophy pose. I think the reason why people are antsy about the whole idea of trophy pose is going back to the rhythm and flow. And I think the people who are kind of detractive of trophy pose feel like just because you say that phrase, then the student is going to assume that they need to like wait there or like stop or like hang out, which kind of kills the flow of the motion. And I don't think that necessarily needs to be mutually inclusive, like at all. Like to me, Federer definitely has like a beat where he's like at his maximum kind of loaded like position before he explodes up. I don't think it's necessarily necessary to have to be continuous and go like all the way through the motion. So I don't mind it, but I hear what people are saying. Right. Well, Joel, right on cue, he mentioned Federer, so let's look at your toss and see if you're getting into that trophy pose. I almost mentioned it earlier when we were looking at his take back. His rhythm and tempo feels like Roger to me in terms of like arriving at a pretty like definitive looking trophy pose, but I don't feel like he's stuck or frozen or. Agree. All right, so Ian, you got a book coming out. I think I've already got a copy. I'm pretty sure this was like a 5-year process for you. It was. Can you just give us a quick, you know, feel for how that 5 years cruised by? It was a huge project. I'm used to, kind of like you guys, coming out, shooting a bunch of videos in a row, and then 48 hours later, 72 hours later, like seeing them come out and be out in the world. So a big challenge for me was just the size and scope of this. Basically, the idea was to take my 6,000 plus videos, what are the most core like principles that I've learned over the span of breaking down the game into all those little, you know, parts, and put it all together into one resource. And so it was a big challenge, but because I had the help of an incredible writer like Joel, it ended up being a much, much better result than I ever could have done myself. Fantastic. All right, so that's all I got for you today. Plenty more to come with Ian this week at DTL, but until then, please click like below this video. And if you have not subscribed to our channel yet, please do so, as well as check down below me in the description of this video. You'll find the link to 3 free courses that Mark and I have put together. I think you'll find those really helpful as well. All right, so until next time, be well. We'll see you soon at Daily Tennis Lesson.